Welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for taking the time to spend a little time with me. I always appreciate that. Continuing with this Madden NFL 18 blog series, as you can see, this one is emphasizing blocking. Now, there's some good information in this blog. If you haven't, make sure you read the blog. Don't just listen to what I'm saying here in this video, because I'm clearly just going to go over certain things in and out, not spending as much time as you would spend with it if you read everything word for word. But just to get it started, man, I'll read the first paragraph just to introduce us to the blog. It says, players have asked for a variety of improvements in the trenches, and Madden NFL 18 delivers. Our focus was providing tools to the players so adjustments could be made easily to counter opponents' tendencies and increase variety in defensive play calling and disguising. There was also a heavy emphasis on player and unit ratings. I'm going to say that again. A heavy emphasis on player and unit ratings. That's a key one for me. And it says below are some highlights of the OLDL, which offensive line, defensive line interaction feature set. So we all know about ID to Mike. So I'm really not going to go into that one, that detailed. We've talked about that repeatedly, myself and others. Some of you guys may not even know what that is as far as what ID to Mike even means. Again, read the blog. You can get that definition, do some Googling, but you'll be able to figure that out, for guys who are maybe not, as up to speed with ID to Mike. So they talk about basically how it works, with the pass protection and base protections and things of that nature. And typically, man, just to give you some quick background on it, what it says here, I will read this small part. What ID to Mike does is allows users to take this base protection and choose any defender on the field as the Mike or the fifth target of the offensive line. It's essentially a spotlight tool that allows the player to direct pass protection to any defender on the field and treat that player as the Mike using our base protection principles. Now, the key thing to know about that is it will help. It will definitely help, and it should help when identifying who's getting pressure. So when guys like to drop guys in coverage as far as zone blitzes and nickel blitz and things like that, essentially it gives you the tools to identify who you think is coming. So that's going to dictate the way that your offensive line will rotate and attempt to pick up the protection. Now, what I like about this, and what I liked initially when I heard the ID to Mike idea, is there's a chess match now. Because if you guess wrong, guess what? You're in trouble. Whereas if you can, play against somebody that's not as, as detail oriented, I guess you would say, in terms of football. Sometimes you get out there in the lobby and you're just playing some random guy. They're trying to use the same thing over and over and over. There you have it. Because we saw that happen even in the MUT community this year. Everyone knew what the blitzes were, etc., etc. Now, there were great players out there. Obviously, attorney guys know how to switch things up. But just think about the guy that you run into really doesn't know what he's doing. He's just following a blueprint, so to speak. And he just continues to run the same play. This will negate that. You'll be able to pick that up and hopefully pick him apart. All right, so here we are, man. And I will, give you just a quick principle here. It says, what is base protection? Base simply means the 5 offensive linemen will target the 4 down defensive linemen plus the Mike linebacker. The Mike being the second defender off the ball from the strong side, not necessarily always the middle linebacker. That's a key thing to know, guys, for you guys that don't really know football like that. When extra blockers are added, like running backs or tight ends, they will then be responsible for the will, the weak side backer, and or the Sam, strong side backer. If slide protection is used, then the offensive line will shift their targeting to either the Will or Sam based on the direction chosen by the user. While the running backs, when they are in for protection, will then block the Mike. All right, so that's just giving you some base overview. So this is a great feature as well. I actually went into that more than I thought I would, but hey, it is what it is. Here's one that really stands out to me: offensive line unit awareness. Now, the reason why I like these blogs, man, is because you really get the details of what's going into the game. I wish they would go back to doing the playbooks like they used to do, a couple years ago, where they would do the streams, and they break down different segments of the game. I really like that because I love the visual. But at the end of the day, I still like the blog, because the blog allows you to have, written information telling you and explaining to you how these things work, and or as reference points. So when you're providing feedback, you can come back and say, hey, it says here in the blog that this is supposed to work this way or that way. And if it doesn't, you have a reference point. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I've been waiting for these blogs. I know they've taken a while to get them out to us, but hey, we have them now, and it's a lot of information. So basically, guys, what I like about the offensive line unit awareness, it says here, in addition to the new pass protection tools, another common ask is about offensive line chemistry and awareness as a unit. A lot of you know I've been asking for that. Ever since chemistry was introduced to MUT, I've been asking, hey man, we need to have something like that in CFM and other modes as well, because that's real football. Offensive lines all the time, what do you hear them say all the time? Why there's a good unit is because they have chemistry and things of that nature. Right? They're very skilled. You hear about them talking about the Cowboys offensive line and why they're so good. And, I think now that the Raiders, have a decent offensive line, and the Steelers have a relatively good offensive line now of having a solid unit. You see what I mean? All of that stuff is important. So as it says here, in Madden 18, the aggregate awareness of the whole O-line will now impact their ability to recognize and pick up blitzes. Huge. The higher the average awareness rating of the offensive line as a unit, the better they will be at recognizing and reacting to blitzes that come up over the course of the game, including the always tough zone blitz schemes our players like to create by dropping defensive linemen into coverage while bringing heat off the edge. Now, key thing to note, and Clint actually answered this question before, you still can drop guys in coverage, but now there's going to be a penalty. So you can definitely still drop defensive linemen into coverage and things like that. That'll be up to you, but now there's going to be a penalty because, again, the ID to Mike, and there's some other things that they've done with run block, and we'll get to that in a moment, that will also, let you know that there will be an advantage for you and disadvantage for guys who attempt to do that. All right, now, let's read some more about this. It says, this feature starts to activate when the average awareness score of the 5 offensive linemen reaches 80. The ability to recognize blitzes scales. An 80 rated O-line will be able to recognize heat about 5% of the time, whereas an O-line averaging 97 or higher in awareness will recognize the pressure on almost every single play. Now you have a pretty good scale right there from 80 to 97, and it says 80 is about 5%, so you can do your guesstimates between 80 and 97, the different percentages. But again, that's huge because now you're going to have to invest in an O-line, especially guys in CFM and MUT. Think about MUT's salary cap. See what I'm saying? Now you're going to have to make some real decisions that can determine the length of time that you have to pass that ball, right? Good stuff. All right, now I'm not going to read the rest of it here. I will allow you guys to go into that yourselves. So it says there is a lot of tuning and improvements in the areas of block shed, running back pass blocking, open field blocking, and lead blockers. And those are basically the components as far as the improvements. And then they kind of go into detail as to what each one does. I'll give you a little piece of it here. It says the block sheds. Block shedding and disengages have been tuned with a heavy emphasis on ratings and scheme. Love that. And I might read more of this than I anticipated, but let's go. In the pass game, only edge rushers using a power move or a finesse move with a 90 rating or higher will have the ability for a super win when rushing on the edge. And the difference in those ratings compared to the blocker's pass rating will determine the frequency of those wins. Very interesting. Remember they talked about the super wins and things like that before? In the run game, the matchup delta between the blocker and the defender will determine both the speed at which a block shed can occur and the frequency. The tuning has been heavily weighted to favor elite players on both sides of the ball. However, the only time any outcome will be 100% is when a player has a 50-point advantage. Again, a 50-point advantage on either side. So there's always a rare chance of an elite player getting, beat on occasion. And that's how it should be, guys, because, again, the reason why that's so important to me, man, is because we always talk about the things that we want and don't want in football, and what's simulation and what's not. But everybody has the opportunity to get beat. I don't care who you are. The best corner, the best receiver, the best linebacker gets ran over sometimes. The best offensive lineman gets beat sometimes, gives up a sack, etc., etc. So it should never be 100% of the time, which is great. But like they said, I mean, if your rating is 50 points higher than the next guy, then yeah, obviously you should win that pretty handsomely. You know what I mean? So I'm not mad at that. Next thing I'll read here, guys, will just be the strength matters. I won't read the rest of it as far as the impact blocking and stuff like that. I got to leave you guys some homework to do on your own. The strength rating matters more than ever in Madden NFL 18. It now determines the defender's ability to disengage away from the blocker, not shed through the block. That's an interesting point, so you have to remember that. The difference in strength versus strength will determine when a defender can get out of the grasp of a blocker when wanting to move away from the blocker. And I think that's key to know as well, because again, you got to remember what it says here. It now determines the defender's ability to disengage away from the blocker. All right, so, before people have that feedback when the game comes out and they say, oh, I can't go through this guy, it's telling you right now exactly what that rating is supposed to do. All right, so just a lot of good stuff here, man, as far as like the running back pass blocking. It's a ton of stuff in here, as well as the open field blocking by the receivers. So you're going to have to, look into this yourselves. And the very last thing I will read here is it says they have a most dangerous man assignment. They've added a new MDM assignment for wide receivers on certain running plays, where they will target safeties or outside linebackers who have dropped into a overhang position, which basically down in or near the tackle box to join the run fit, instead of targeting the cornerback aligned over them. Now, the reason why I like that is because it now allows the game to start recognizing things and not just being stuck to their assignment. Because you guys all have heard me say this. I'm sure you guys have said it. Don't you hate the times when, let's say it's a fullback or a pulling guard or what have you, and it just seems like they're so focused on their assignment and they clearly miss the guy that's right in front of them? That's why things like this have to be there. And even speaking on that, I lied. I'm going to read a couple more sections. Improve logic for pulling blockers and lead blockers out of the backfield to retarget to less dangerous threats and improving. That's what I'm talking about. It's going to improve. I didn't finish the sentence there. Let me finish the whole sentence. So let me read it over. It says blockers, lead blockers out of the backfield to retarget to less dangerous threats and improving, keeping them on their assigned path to block the ball carrier. There it is. All right, and it says improve logic for blockers out on the screen plays to retarget less and be more decisive in going after the initial targets. So this is what I'm saying, man. I want to see guys be able to discern, what's actually happening. Break down what's happening. I know it's a video game, but I think AI has gotten to the point where they should be able to retarget whoever is in their vicinity instead of just going to the assignment. Somebody crosses your face, I want to see that guy get blocked. So we'll have to see if those things will play out. And that's what it all comes down to, man. These blogs are great, gives us a lot of information, but at the end of the day, we're going to have to test it and see how everything works in terms of gameplay and see if these things are holding true. All right, so I appreciate you guys sticking there with me for a moment. Of course, I'm going to do one as well on this right here. So you better believe the Coaching Adjustments blog will be coming your way as well. And yeah, whatever blog they put up, I'll do my quick piece on it. And yeah, man, we got to hold them accountable to what they're telling us. All right, so if you haven't already, man, make sure you subscribe to the channel, cut on your notifications so you're fully aware when a video is available. As well, man, I promise you, it will never hurt you to hit that like button. All right, guys, until next time, we'll catch you in the next video. Peace.